Right. Hello, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Curriculum Instruction Student Life Subcommittee meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 4th, and the time is almost 7 p.m. So I'd like the first to lead with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Ms. Abel, would you lead us in that? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So before we start, I just want to make note that we're going to change the agenda slightly. We're just going to move our discussion on the coronavirus to the bottom of the agenda, and everything else will be covered. So it's so nice to see so many people here in attendance for our riveting presentations that I'm really looking forward to. The first order of business is just to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Does anyone have any edits or suggestions to those minutes? No?
I'll make a motion to approve the February 5th, 2020 minutes.
Okay, great. And do I have a second? All right, Mr. Conant, second by Mr. Conant. All those in favor of approving the minutes? All right, so we have, do you get that? All right, excellent. Our next item on the agenda is the presentations, and Dr. Flaherty, I will let you
Thank you.
give the intro.
As you know, with each of our meetings, we like to highlight one of the areas in our curriculum and teaching and learning from our schools. And one of the areas that is important to me was as a teacher and as a principal moving up is really also one of our goals here in Beverly, which is to make sure that we are teaching both the head and the heart, and that service learning is very much rooted in the work that we want our students to know and be exposed to. And so we do a lot of service learning, kindergarten through senior year in high school. And so we thought it would be nice for you to get a snapshot of the entire system, K to 12, and just get, well, there are lots and lots of things going on. This will at least give you a snapshot of all the wonderful experiences and the wonderful learning that we're doing. And I'm so excited that we have so many of our students that are here to tell you about what they're doing today. So I will start our presentation with just this quote, which really is what I just said and is something that I believe that we really need to work on teaching how to grow compassionate and empathetic adults. And by doing that, service learning, that's a way that they can work on both their academic skills and also knowing how to give back and to help others. This is a quote from Aristotle that reminds us that educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And now I'm going to turn you over to the best part of the evening, which is each of our schools. So Dr. Lay, if you'd like to introduce AIRS.
Kirsten James come right up. She's
Great.
ready to go.
Thank you.
All right, my name is Kirsten James. I am the PE teacher at AIRS. Our students have been and are still currently participating in the Kids Heart Challenge. The goal of the Kids Heart Challenge is to help prepare students for success through their physical and emotional well-being. Through the Kids Heart Challenge, students learn about their own hearts while at the same time helping others by fundraising for the American Heart Association. We kicked off our event with a visit from a representative from the American Heart Association. She came and spoke with all of our students about the event and about heart-healthy habits. She introduced the students to the characters that go along with the event and what each character represents, each character embodying a different heart-healthy trait. In PE class, the students have been practicing their jump roping. They've been testing to see how high and how fast they can jump. They've been completing obstacle courses. We discuss how students can keep their own hearts healthy, and we talk about how they can help others as well. So the students have really blown me away with how excited they've been about helping others and about being a part of this event. They've gone above and beyond, and I have 4 students with me here today who have really gone above and beyond and showed so much enthusiasm for the event, and they wanted to share with you why they wanted to be a part of it.
I thought it would be nice to raise money because it would be kind to help other people whose hearts don't work as well as ours. And that is why I was excited to participate in the Kids Heart Challenge in PE class. I like jumping rope. I was able to jump 15 jumps in a row to join the Kangaroo Club.
I wanted to do the Kids Heart Challenge to raise money so people can fix their hearts. In PE, I learned that my heart is a muscle that I can make stronger. It makes me feel good to know that I am helping people. I signed up for Kids Heart Challenge for Kids Heart Challenge because I wanted to help people who need their hearts fixed. It makes me feel good to know that I am helping people. PE class is fun because I can run around and work out my heart.
I signed up for the Kids Heart Challenge because I wanted to help kids with sick hearts. In PE class, I learned about how to keep my own heart healthy. I learned that I can keep my own heart healthy by exercising, eating right, and by not smoking or doing drugs.
Wow. May I ask what grade these amazing students are in?
This is Sammy. Do you want to tell them what grade you're in, Sammy?
I'm in 4th grade.
Wow.
Tegan,
I'm in 1st grade.
Daniel,
I'm in 2nd grade.
and Sean.
I'm in 3rd grade.
Wow. Very impressive.
Good job.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayers. That was fabulous. Now we're going to hear from Centerville.
May I request that we skip ahead to Cove? We're
Sure.
still waiting for one of our presenters who's on her way. 2 minutes.
Good evening.
Cove.
This here. I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for letting us share tonight. And Cindy Tamilio is presenting on behalf of our kindergarten team.
One of my favorite teachers.
Too kind. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So on behalf of Cove, the kindergarten students and teachers at Cove organized a ServiceLearning project and a project-based learning project at the same time that tied into Thanksgiving. Our project focused on learning about the first Thanksgiving and making connections between the needs of the Pilgrims and the Native Americans and the needs of the people in our community. They brainstormed ways that we could help people in need and decided to hold a food drive to donate to people in need, to donate to Beverly Bootstraps and to make warm blankets and donate them to a local shelter. Our students made flyers to advertise the food drive and hung them around the school. They sorted and organized all of the food as it came in, and they helped to load up our cart before we made the delivery. For the blankets, students all took turns tying each piece of fabric together so that it would make a nice warm blanket for someone in need. We ended up donating the blankets to HAWK, which stands for Healing, Abuse, Working for Change in Salem, in neighboring Salem. So I think the students learned a lot. They also had a lot of fun doing this, and ultimately, we had some great blankets and some food to donate to our communities. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Hannah? Are we still waiting for someone? We'll have Hannah go. Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gabrielle Montevecchi, and I'm the principal at Hannah, and I'm representing the fourth grade team today, and I want to invite my friend Saxa Mahudi to come on up and join me. The project that our fourth grade students, thanks for being here, participated in was called Community Connections, and it was a project-based learning experience for all the fourth grade students. This fall, the students read the book Because of Winn-Dixie, and through this novel, the students explored an overarching question, which was how do the connections that we make with others improve our lives and the lives of those around us? The children were inspired by the main character in the novel, Opal, and children discussed ways that they too could make a difference in the lives of people in our community here in Beverly. So the students decided that they wanted to do something that gave back to the greater community, and they chose the seniors in our Beverly community to give back to. The kids got together to plan a party, which is also something that takes place in the book Because of Winn-Dixie. And so they divided into different committees. Every student had a different role. They had to plan what the menu was going to be. They had to decide how they were going to get the invitations out to everybody, what the decorations were going to look like, and then what the entertainment was going to be when the seniors finally arrived. So we're also excited to work with Beverly Senior Center on this project. And I wanted to find out from Saxon, what was your favorite part of this project?
What I liked about this project is I got to meet someone I wouldn't have met anywhere else. His name is Paul. Paul was a kind gentleman. When I saw him, I ran up to him. I started talking with him. I asked him how was his childhood. He said I was the greatest. He said that I was the greatest horseshoe player. That in his older life. Sorry, I have butterflies.
It's okay, you're doing great.
What I like I really like this project. I hope that we could do it again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I get butterflies too when I speak up here. You did a great job.
All right, Centerville, come on up.
Hi, I'm Gwen Jones,
Hi, I'm Piper Stout.
and we're from the Centerville 4th grade Student Council, and we're here to tell you about our blood drive. So, we learned that we can make a difference with the Pint-Sized Hero program, so it gives elementary and middle school students a chance to participate in a life-saving blood drive. We were partnering with the Red Cross, and we are the future blood donors of America.
The Be the Match registry assists patients in finding bone marrow donors. Efforts are made by the Be the Match organizations to help make life-saving connections for those who need bone marrow donors. We invited a representative from Be the Match this year because we have a student who needs a bone marrow donation, and we wanted to raise awareness.
So, Centerville participates because we believe that is important to help others. You want to help others because it feels good to make good changes.
We got started when all the 4th graders participated in a presentation by the Red Cross to learn about the importance of blood donation. Our student council members led the way to hosting the blood drive.
So, did you know that some people also need blood after surgeries, accidents, or cancer treatment? Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood, and over 5 million patients in the United States need it every year. 1 pint of blood can save up to 3 lives. The Red Cross must collect about 15,000 pints of blood every day to meet the needs of patients at about 2,600 hospitals nationwide. If you do the math, 15,000 times 3 equals 45,000 lives saved every day.
The student council actions. We started with a letter writing campaign to local and regional community members to persuade them to come to our blood drive. We prepared handwritten thank you cards for donors, and we also prepared posters. We organized student staff to help with it. In the 4 jobs was greeting donors, childcare, canteen, and the checkout table.
So, what happened in the end? Our results were the Red Cross collected 47 pints of blood, saving 141 lives. 30% of our donors were first-time donors. Thrilling. Our Be the Match campaign resulted in 14 registrations, which is a lot.
We learned how good it feels to help others.
It is important to give your time to help others.
Our well-written letters brought people to our drive.
And even though you are young, you can make a difference in the world.
I just want to say that I received one of your well-written letters, and it was so impressive and well-written. And although I couldn't make it to your drive, it did inspire me to get out, and I did donate blood on a day that I could get there. And I think what you do is just fantastic. You guys do a great job.
You can finish. I think they wanted to do their So Remember slide, right?
I just wanted to tell you when to show up next year.
That's it. Go ahead.
Get your phones out, everyone.
Mark your calendar for Thursday, January 28th, 2021. Gwen, what is the #1 reason for people not donating blood?
Because no one has asked them to donate. So we are asking, please donate.
All right, we'll all be there. All right, and I believe Mrs. Tarr is here to do North Beverly.
Thank you for allowing us to share, and thank you for all the wonderful things you guys have been doing. I'm representing North Beverly. I'm the math coach there, and recently we had a Maththon for St Jude Hospital. In October, November, the 4th graders were reading a book called The Honest Truth by Dan, I'm not sure of his last name, Gaiman-Hart. And it's a story about a 12-year-old boy who has cancer and his struggle through that and his friendships and how lives were changed. And so one of the 4th graders came to me and said, hey, St. Jude has this Maththon. Why don't you look into it? And so I did, and we decided as a school to do that. And children in their classrooms, even in 4th grade, watch videos of children that are patients of St. Jude telling about St. Jude and why they love St. Jude and why it's important. And then we did a Maththon where kids did a little bit of extra math for a week, one every night for a week. I'm nervous too, and I'm a grown-up. And asked for donations, for their doing extra math. And every day they would come in, we had a thermometer, and we're so excited to see how much they were raising. And never in a million years would I think $10,521 we raised for St. Jude Children's Hospital. St. Jude was thrilled. They, sent me an email and said that they were amazed and were so thankful and appreciative of all the lives that would be touched. And hopefully we'll do it again. But it was the most rewarding experience, and the children were just so motivated to make a difference. So there you go. It's
And you had
amazing.
math night that you
And we-
organized in the midst of all of that, too.
I did. I figured that would be a good celebration finale to have a family math night, and we had almost 200 people there. So, you know, who knows?
That's
So-
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're moving on to BMS, and Mr. Conant's going to talk about that. No, you can stay there.
All right. All right, good evening. So we have a project that we're just actually kicking off this week that I want to talk about tonight. Our 8th grade civics teachers just went through a PBL class with Judy Miller, you know, as well as with some high school teachers as well. And a big part of it was to bring civics, you know, the curriculum has changed and the standards have changed. So 8th grade component of is now civics. So, you know, so they're looking at how they can incorporate, you know, so some of this service learning into that as well. So starting on this Friday, I don't know if Kaylee, do you know if this is happening yet? Have we talked about it in class?
We're going to be having an assembly on Friday, but it's on
Oh, so you gotta keep a secret then. Yeah, so there's a big kickoff event on Friday for all 8th graders. The 8th graders are gonna go through some self-reflection, some self-evaluation, try to find something that they're passionate about. You know, may it be, you know, the environment, you know, poverty, immigration, foster care, you know, animal rights is a big one. So they're gonna try to research and try to find something that they're passionate about over the next couple of weeks. Once they, you know, passionate about their topic and they have their topic, they're going to start researching some of the legislation around the different organizations and different laws in place in these particular areas. You know, they're going to go out in the Beverly community, connect with the Beverly community members, you know, as well as, you know, getting out there in the community. So the end result of this is they're going to be, you know, say they choose to go to the Northeast Animal Shelter, they'll go to the Northeast Animal Shelter. They'll work with the employees there, with the animals there, really try to get them engaged in something that they're passionate about. You know, if it's, you know, bootstraps or it's an organization like that, same thing. We want to get them out there in the community. We want them to interview. We want them to talk to people that work with these organizations every single day. And then at the end of this, all the stakeholders involved, all the community members will be invited to a learning expo here at the middle school, where you know, where students will be able to show off their learning and their projects and what they learn from this valuable experience. So like I said, we're really excited that the frameworks transitioned here in Massachusetts, because, you know, with 8th graders and middle schoolers, you know, they want to be a part of more, and this is just another more user-friendly way to get students involved in the community through the civics and through getting out there in the community. So hopefully we can come back in May or June, or I mean, everyone's invited to come that night in May, but to report back on some of the great experiences and great learning that's going to take place over the next month or so.
Thank you. And Mrs. Taylor's here to talk about the high school.
Thank you. I wanted to give more of an overview of what we do for community service, because many different students do many different things. And after listening to the students from the elementary school and what the middle school's doing, I know where their inspiration comes from. They learn those skills and then they bring it here to the high school. And so we're very lucky for the foundation that the students and the staff have given them. One of the first things we try to do is make sure our students have an opportunity to give community service to the school itself. Not only because we think community service in itself is a good thing, but the students are our best public relations vehicle. When people get a chance to interact with our students and talk to our kids and see them in action, that really helps reinforce the impression of the school. So every year we offer these opportunities, and our students respond really well to helping us out with freshman orientation, which is both a day in August and the first day of school. The open house that we have for potential 9th grade students. We have just started this past year the unified basketball team, and so we have students volunteer to help assistant coach and assistant play with the team. We have a parent-teacher conference night, which we have students there helping to arrange the conferences between the teacher and parents. We have our career day, where students assist us by greeting our guests and making sure they're in their classrooms and they have everything they need. We established a Japanese school visit. The school from Komodo, Japan comes and visits for a day, and our students allow them to shadow. We have a student shadowing team. If people want to come and tour the school, we have students that volunteer to do that. And we have 8th grade move-up day. So those are standard opportunities, and our students have really risen to the occasion, lots of time for those. We have other kinds of opportunities as well. Am I control? I just need the next one. Thanks. We have certain clubs that part of their component is service. Key Club, which is in connection with Kiwanis. The National Honor Society, one of their 4 characteristics, if you remember, it's character and leadership and scholarship and service. The Animal Welfare Club works really hard to protect animals. World of Difference, which is trained by the ACLU, works to talk about differences between people. Peer Leaders does the same thing to make students aware of issues and concerns, and mostly self-respect amongst students. The Birthday Wishes Club plans packages of birthday packages, so people, students that can't necessarily afford it will have a built-in birthday club in a box, birthday day in a box. Best Buddies works with our students, and our OTC has a service component. So we have a lot of service programs going on, sometimes sponsored by these clubs. The other opportunity we have for service is, first of all, with the new development of project-based learning, as Mr. Conant explained with the middle school, we have lots of opportunities where students are doing project-based learning assignments and building in a community service component. Our Decker program, which is a business program, but a lot of students build their business model and their skills over community service contributions. And then there's lots of times teachers organize individual projects from classes and advisory groups. In fact, this picture is of Miss Tolan's art class where they wanted to design little mini pantries. And they also put a mural in the school as well to sort of advertise and start promoting that project as well. So there's a lot of community service going here, and I don't want to say pockets because that sounds like it's a little isolated, but I think it's pretty pervasive, and as I said, I think it has a lot to do with the message kids have gotten all along in the Beverly schools. Thank you.
Thanks. So I'm so proud and excited to share with you our snapshot, and you can really see that through project-based learning, but also just within each of the schools, as we have a goal to increase authentic learning experiences and making real-world connections, that our students are getting it from the day they walk through our door until the day that they go out into the world. And they're really doing some amazing work and making us very proud. And you can see why I have the best job in the world, because all of you get to see one school's work, and I get to go see it all. So,
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thanks.
can we take just a few minutes break? Because I'm sure some people have homework and bedtimes to get home for.
Absolutely. Yeah, although they probably want to stay till the bitter end of the meeting, but we'll, thank you.
You all for a wonderful job.
All right, so we're going to dive into our updates from our student representatives. Do you have any updates for us?
Well, Mr. Conan already said that we're going to be having I guess a PBL kickoff on Friday, and yeah.
That's great. Thank you. And anything?
So currently at Beverly High School, there were a lot of announcements about this sort of awareness campaign regarding vaping.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fairly interesting and fairly unique in the sense that students have to create a PSA or some sort of interactive project in order to spread the awareness of vaping related effects to the lungs and maybe to someone's behavior and their academic life. And I like the fact that the school is getting student input in the form of projects in order to spread awareness of vaping. And also another thing that I find really interesting is, for example, for the prom that's coming up in June, students can sort of hand over a vape to one of the school administrators, and then they can give you a prom ticket, sort of like this trade in which you can kind of re-enter civic life in that sense. And that's really cool, and it's pretty unique, and it seems to be like it has never been, tried out in other schools, and it's really interesting to see it being tried out here at Beverly High. So those are two things that I found pretty interesting this month.
That's great. And I've seen information on the PSA project.
Yeah.
What, from a student perspective, do you find that there's a lot of interest in student involvement and excitement at that level?
Yeah, there is interest. Actually, one of my friends is thinking about making sort of an announcement or a PSA. I think she told me like it's going to be about how, like, how vapes come in different flavors.
Mm-hmm.
So her PSA would be about how, instead of eating breakfast, they vape the pancake flavor, and instead of eating, lunch, they vape the spaghetti flavor, and how it's kind of like this part of their life in which they can't kind of give it up since it's, so important to them.
Right.
But it's like this sense in which she's trying to like raise awareness that, it's going to be a process and trying to kind of wean off of vaping.
Right. How life-consuming it can
Yeah, how
become, like
life-consuming
taking
it
the
is.
place of your normal functions. and-
Exactly.
Wow, that's really cool.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it.
Yeah.
So, thank you. All right, so we will go on to we'll skip over the coronavirus and go on to the NEASC final report.
May I add just two quick updates as Mrs. Taylor's coming up to the podium? I wanted to share with everybody that yesterday we had our Professional Development Day, and from all accounts on the feedback form, people had a very valuable day. We spent time with 14 different teacher-led workshops in the morning, time for all of the grade levels to meet district-wide, so by grade, they met first grade, second grade, third grade, kindergarten, and then from 7 to 12, they met by content area. And so they had some really valuable conversations and did some planning. And then I also just wanted to update you with the middle school search, and that we have sent information out to both the staff and parents to send an email to myself if they're interested in serving on the committee. That's due by Friday, and by Monday, we'll announce who the committee is and make sure that they can attend all of the dates. We are working right now at confirming the new timeline, because a couple of the dates that we had tentatively selected, there were conflicts with activities happening at the middle school. So that is moving along, and the job has been posted, and we do have applications coming in.
Great. Yeah, as a parent, I received that communication. I thought that was very proactive and well put, and I hope it brings forth a lot of interest.
Me too.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Hi, what I wanted to present to your committee was the recent report back in regard to our collaborative visit at Beverly High School. Let me back up a little and sort of explain the overall process. So Beverly High School belongs to the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, and that is an organization both private and public schools belong to, which establishes every 10 years an accreditation process. So this past year, or 2019, was our accreditation year. Basically, this is actually a cycle that takes a couple of years to complete, and I'll explain that in just a second. And what happens is they take a look at the school for the following 5 standards: learning culture, student learning, professional practices, learning support, and learning resources. And one of the things, their expectation is that the school itself presents a growth plan with our vision of what we would like to do and the process on how we would like to do it. So this happens every 10 years, and I'll go through the timeline with you. It is, first of all, a self-study by the teachers, and then we reach out to the community, both general community and the parent community and the students groups. And then there's a collaborative visit where they send a committee to both. They've already pre-read our report, and then they do interview and investigation to see where we are. So this is the accreditation timeline, and everything that is in red is what we have completed so far. So in fall of 2018, we established a steering committee and an accreditation committee. In spring, we gathered evidence and feedback and wrote our self-reflection report. In fall, the collaborative conference, the visitors came and took a look at our report and then looked at what they saw themselves at the school. And we had also presented them with our school growth plan. That visit was on October 16th and October 17th. If you remember, October 17th was one of the days school was canceled because of the wind. So they did not get a chance to go in as many classrooms as they liked, but they did come, there was still power at Beverly High School, so they came in on the 17th and met with the school administration and the district administration and wrote their reports. So what's left is in fall, winter, spring of 2020 to 2021, we are to implement the growth plan that we submitted to them, complete the summary report on what we've done, and then in fall of 2021, we will host their decennial visit. And this will be a larger committee. They'll stay a bit longer, and they'll both look at our initial report and our growth plan and measure how we've done. So that's scheduled right now for November 7th to November 10th of 2021, which sounds far away right now, but it probably won't be soon. So here's the standards, and it's just a brief description. So learning culture talks about shared values, responsibility for achieving the school's vision. We've created a vision statement for the school, and what they do is measure is that are we living what we say we're trying to achieve. Student learning practices maximize the impact of learning for each student, so they're looking at what's going on in the classroom, what kind of programs do we offer, what kind of curriculum. Professional practices ensure that practices and structures are in place to support and improve student learning, so they are looking at professional development and support for teachers. Standard 4, learning support. It makes sure that the school has appropriate systems to support student learning, so they would look at health services, library services, counseling services. And last, learning resources ensure that the school has the resources necessary to meet the learning needs of all students. So they look at facility, they look at budget and things like that. So they're looking at all 5 standards as they visit and examine the school. So one of the first things they expect for us to do is to develop a vision of the graduate, and making sure it's an inclusive process with the faculty, administrators, and parents. And we had done that, and I think I had done a presentation about 1.5 years ago for this committee. What we have here is a list of commendations. This is after the collaborative visit. This is saying what Beverly High School does well, and it's a kind of long list, and I think it's a list that I think accurately reflects what we've been trying to do. So here's the first. They commended us for our development of a vision of the graduate using an inclusive process that gathered input from faculty, administrators, and parents. They commended us for the connections that students feel to adults and their peers. And the committee made a special point of saying to me that the students that they interviewed really asserted that they felt like they had a place here. The next commendation was a wide variety of electives and extracurricular activities that allow for student voice and choice. Next is the professional development programs that are ambitious, look outward, incorporate teacher leadership, and are focused on bringing best practices to all learners. And I think that's a credit to the district's overall plan with the pathways that teachers are choosing. They also commended our internship programs, our specialized classes, and our student projects that involve students in developing real-life skills and participation in learning experiences beyond the classroom. They commended us on our internship program, I'm sorry, that's a duplicate. They commended us on the system of allowing multiple redos of formative assessments, which promotes mastery learning, a growth mindset, and a willingness to take risks in students. The student participation in school-wide initiatives that honors student voice in institutional decision-making was another thing we commended for. The use of technology across almost all curricular areas to support, enhance, and demonstrate student learning. The model of the Freshman Academy, where teachers collaborate effectively. The multitude of intervention strategies designed to support students. The facility at Beverly High School, which supports the delivery of high curriculum programs and services. And again, I repeated myself with that one at the top, and also the adequate and dependable funding provided by the community to fully implement the curriculum, including many co-curricular programs and other learning opportunities. So those were all commendations mentioned by the visitors about what they saw at Beverly High School. The other thing they spoke about is anything that we need to work on. So they said that there was one foundational element that we did not meet, and this is not a surprise to us. There is a written the standard is there is a written curriculum in a consistent format for all courses in all departments across the school. We do not have a written curriculum for all courses in all departments. We have been working on that, and we have many departments with most courses covered. That's an ongoing process, and they want us to continue that process. The growth plan, these are the priority areas for growth, are ones that we presented, and then they either elaborated on it or went back. So, 1, develop and share a set of research-based practices to help all teachers address social-emotional learning in all classrooms in a consistent manner in order to promote students' capacity for resiliency and self-advocacy and to better support all learners. So, we had been working on that, and that was a goal we had overall anyways. So our next step to meet that priority area, in which they'll be looking at us in fall of 2021, is we first of all have the district pathways that do talk about developing social emotional learning. So there's a lot of professional development and support in the district for this. We have several teacher-led committees that are currently researching and going to recommend changes in our practice or changes in programs beginning in the next school year. Some of these programs we can implement in September, and some will take some further research and maybe the following year. So we have a committee that's looking at some social emotional learning and practices that we're going to do in the classroom. They've visited many other schools and taken a look at different programs and gone to workshops, and all these committees have gotten training and research and professional development in these areas, and they have a recommendation for a social emotional program that will carry throughout the school. What they have found in their research is that there really isn't one comprehensive program for high school, and that really the recommendation is to tailor it to the school. I think the other thing I have to say is the other thing we discovered is that Beverly High School is doing a lot already. We compared ourselves to a lot of different schools. What we're going to do is formalize it more. We already began that with starting to change our advisory program so that each year is addressing another element of social emotional learning, and we'll formalize that some more for starting the next school year. The Digital Literacy Committee is looking at how students can use media as an effective tool and not be used by media. So we are looking at elements such as propaganda, privacy, how to find good sources, how to know how you're being manipulated. Some of that is going to be incorporated in curriculum of classes such as health and wellness and English and social studies. And then we're going to provide some overall information that goes into context of the advisory, so students have that information as well. We have a community service committee, which is making recommendations for a formal sophomore year of service, where we're going to emphasize community service with the sophomores. We intend to have that up and running for the next school year. And we formed this year, as part of, instead of faculty meetings, in fact, we had one today, student service PLCs. Our freshman academy is fortunate is that they can get together several times a week and talk about students and see if students need support or meet with student parents. It gets more spread out once we reach 10th through 12th grade, because we don't have that same sort of structure. So we have been using our faculty meetings so that 10th through 12th grade teachers can focus on some students and talk about interventions and ways we can support students. So we're using our faculty meeting to use for some of those things. So that's where we're trying to get to this recommendation. Another priority area for group is implement articulate career pathways with transition plans beyond high school so that students have clear options for their high school career and beyond. This is something that our teachers felt really strongly about this, And I have a Career Pathways Committee. They have recommendations. They too did a lot of research, visited a lot of different schools and areas, and we're about to, this will take another year to have it fully implemented, so it won't be up and running in the next school year. But what we're looking at is creating, right now, I think it's 4 distinct career pathways. And what we mean by career pathways is both the recommendations to students of the courses they should take at Beverly High School that will prepare them with a background in these fields. And also a connection to either a college and career transition. What we're targeting is making sure that whether a student intends to go to a 4-year school to study something or wants to go right into the job force right away, we have, by their senior year, are planning a transition for them. We're looking at a lot of trade programs and a lot of certification programs as well as college. So for example, one of the pathways we're considering is health science. So a student wants to be a doctor, we have the recommendation of the courses that they should take at Beverly High School. There's an emphasis senior year to maybe you should do dual enrollment or advanced placement, and then make sure that they have the chance to really explore the different college opportunities they offer the career. If you want to go into health services and you don't want to go to college, that we're going to again suggest a pathway of courses you should take. Again, suggest dual enrollment or advanced placement, and introduce you to some certification programs such as the Gloucester Biotech Academy, which takes students right out of high school in a 30-week program, trains them to be lab technicians and helps place them in job placements. So we're trying to make some community connections. As I said, that won't be up and running by next year. We need another year to prep everything. We're lucky, and the school committee had approved our Essex Tech partnership, which we think is another piece of this. And this year, every year the guidance counselor has a college panel where both students who we have students who have in college to talk about college, but we also have college admissions people come and talk to students about college. And what we found is that we were really underserving the kids who aren't necessarily going to college. So we're going to do 2. We're going to do a college panel, and students can also go to a trade and career panel where people from the trades will come and talk them about their training and how they got into the program. So those are some of the next steps we're trying to do for this priority area. The other is leverage existing professional knowledge of project-based learning, universal design for learning, and collaborative practice in order to develop and then propagate authentic, learner-centered experiences across the curriculum. I know that the committee has heard people talk about project-based learning and universal design for learning, and we have it at the high school as well. The collaborative committee was very impressed by it, but felt that it was still in pockets, that to make it more throughout the school to find ways to do that. Now, obviously, again, this is something the district has been promoting in its Pathways for Teachers. I have what's called an instructional innovation committee, and they take a look at different elements, and they are an advisory committee to me on ways that we can either get resources to teachers or ways that we can make sure teachers can explore different areas. And we've been working really hard to provide both professional development to our teachers when the opportunities come up, and to create more common planning time on both project-based learning, professional learning communities and co-teaching. We have a lot of co-teaching teams now that we try to build in time so they can meet, and we do a lot with professional learning communities such as the faculty meeting about students or departments taking a look at student work. So we're hoping those steps will help us toward this area for growth. And ensure that this is the one they want us to work on, they were the most concerned about. Ensure that there is a written curriculum in a consistent format for all courses across all departments that includes units of studies with guiding essential questions, concepts, content, and skills that integrates the school's vision of the graduate. Now, we're going to continue the departmental work on curriculum maps and lesson plans. We're doing providing professional development content areas, and I know we'll be working with the district to do some vertical alignment. In fact, as Dr. Flaherty already told you, one of the best feedback I got from my teachers from Tuesday's PD. Yeah, that was yesterday. I don't know what day it is, on the PD is the opportunity to talk to the middle school teachers about what they're doing in the classroom and sort of tracing a progression. So those are our priority areas for growth. That's the growth plan. That's what, when they come back in 2021, they will be seeing what we've accomplished in these areas. And as far as immediate steps, I have to submit a school improvement growth plan by May 1st, 2020. So we had given them the tentative growth plan. Now we put it in a formalized document that this is what we're working on and elaborate a little bit further. We spend the next year and a half working on the growth plan and developing evidence about what we're doing. And then they come and visit again November 7th to November 10th and take a look at our progress. The full report's available. I'll share it with Dr. Flaherty so that you can have a link to it if you want to read the whole thing. There is a narrative as well about what they saw in their visits. I'm giving you their sort of summary conclusions, but I'll make sure that you can have access to it. It's a public document. As I said, it was the Beverly High staff really rose to the occasion and worked really hard, both in sharing their ideas, and then we had some people working on formal committees and doing the actual writing. And I think overall it's a fair assessment of where we are right now. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions?
Thank you for your leadership
Thanks.
in this, Betty.
Thanks.
And as Dr. Chorchik's coming up to give us the last update, I just noticed that last week we had a wonderful science fair here at the middle school, and I believe some of the boards are still on display over there on your way out if you want to take a look at them.
How are we doing? Great. This was a great night so far. Not sure if you'll like this part, but thank you. I'm here actually to just give you an update on just events and what we're doing in Beverly regarding the coronavirus. I know everybody's pretty much aware of the current health issue that's that we're all facing together. And so I kind of wanted to just give an update to the committee. It's interesting because we put some efforts together at the end of last week. Little did we know how rapidly things would transpire, right? I think we're all taken a little bit aback about how quickly things are coming, information is coming out, and guidance is changing on a regular basis. But as a district, we had decided that we would have a meeting on Monday morning to begin planning and preparing for any upcoming issues that we may have to face as a district and as a school. And so we had pre-planned a meeting, and these are the coordination of efforts that we've done to date. On Monday morning, we met with district leadership. That meeting entailed really just a review of what was the information up till now from the DPH. We reviewed our cleaning and maintenance protocols. We had Mike Collins and Tim Howland there, and spent a little bit of time going over what are our regular maintenance procedures, and then we took a look at what things would we intensify in terms of prevention. So I'll address it a little further as we go on, some of the things that we put in place. And then we also talked about what level of communication, how will we communicate with families in the community to make sure that they understood what we were doing and the efforts that we were putting forth. We followed that in the afternoon with the meeting with the leadership team, the principals from each building. And in that meeting, we talked about what they could expect for maintenance from in their buildings. So the new information we had shared with custodians, things that they could look for, the proper cleaning procedures, particularly in the common areas, to make sure that we were just kind of raising our intensification of that. We talked a lot about hand washing. I think if you've listened to the news or watched what's going on, really and truly, if anyone says, what can I do to prevent the virus? They say, wash your hands. And hand washing is really the primary, I think, defense that we have right now. We talked about what hand washing means. We have sinks in almost all of our elementary classrooms, and worked with principals to implement hand washing policies so that they're washing their hands before they go out to recess, or before they go to snack, or before they go to lunch, and taking a look, making sure that we do that for 20 minutes. Is our friend back? Is that what you're looking at?
No.
Okay. So we did that. We talked about attendance policies, both for staff and for students. How's that? Is it because I'm too loud?
No, it's the feedback. The feedback to the speaker.
Okay, how's that better? We talked a lot about hand washing, again, as I said, and making sure that we're working with students to understand the proper hand washing techniques. Sing happy birthday twice, 20 seconds, really trying to make it work. We talked about attendance policy, both with staff and students, to have our staff make sure they know, please don't come to work sick. We know that you're dedicated and passionate, but we don't want you coming to school if you have a fever or flu symptoms. The same with students. I worked with Mrs. Taylor a little bit about a communication. I don't know if that went out or not tonight, but going out soon. But just to remind you, we know students are very dedicated and they're concerned. We have policies at the high school level where a certain number of absences can impact their grades. So we want to make sure we put that communication out that the administration will work with students, especially at this time. If they have a fever or if they have flu symptoms, they should stay home. We talked about a little bit, we haven't really got as far down the road as we need to, about extended closure protocol. So if we were needing to shut the schools down for an extended period of time, what would our response be? How would we manage that? And then finally, there was a meeting, municipal departments, June Cases, who's our nurse leader, attended that meeting for the schools, and there was conversation among the departments across the municipality. So what is the municipal response? What are we doing for city employees? What's the guidance for them? What are the best practices that we need to have in place? And what level of communication do we need to have at the city level? So we took a pretty comprehensive approach in terms of trying to get ahead of what we're doing. I provided a summary of communications that have gone out to date. We're working with just providing updates through Connect Ed so that parents and families have information on what's going on in the schools and the efforts that we're taking. To date, we sent one out on Friday, we sent one out on Monday, and we sent one out again this evening. We reiterated in our communications to parents and families our attendance guidelines, really hoping that parents understand when they call their child out sick, don't just call your child out sick, but report your absences for a reason. Do you have symptoms? Have you had recent travel? Just so that we're aware, because I think the only way we're going to get ahead of this is if we're all working together with good information to kind of put a good front and a good defense up. Informed families that nurses will be likely to dismiss students with any flu-like symptoms, and so expect that if your child just develops some flu-like symptoms during the school day, that we'll be calling and sending them home. Please do not send your child if they have a fever. No fever reducer, and I am guilty as a parent of a little bit of Tylenol, and off you go to school. And please, even if that's something you've done in the past, this is not the time to do that. We want to be really careful about that, and also reiterate that your child should be fever-free with no fever reducers for 24 hours before you send them back to school. So I know that in childcare, that's a really pretty well-known standard. I think in the schools, we're just reiterating that especially at this point in time. We hope that people would adhere to that. In terms of prevention of flu in the schools, again, we talked about staff staying home with flu-like symptoms, and we even reviewed with our staff if you are coughing or sneezing, coughing to your elbow, things like that. Wash your hands. We won't say that enough. You'll hear us say wash your hands probably every time we turn around. Our schools are cleaned regularly per the CDC recommendations, but we intensified some of those cleaning protocols within our buildings. Our school nurses are working closely with the Board of Health and with the Department of Public Health. And again, we're planning for that unlikely event of school closure. These are recommendations that we sent home to parents and shared with them in terms of stopping the spread of any. This is not even just about coronavirus, but colds and flu. We really emphasize that it's not too late to get vaccinated. Again, that's for the flu. We know there's not a vaccination for coronavirus, but you're still recommended for everybody to go out. If you have not had your flu shot, it's a really good idea to go get it. Oh, there goes wash hands frequently again with soap and water. I can't say that enough. Use your elbow, not your hands, for coughing and sneezing. Stay 3 feet away from people who are sick. I heard someone mention that if you can smell garlic on someone's breath, you're too close. So think about that. What's your personal space and what's the distance? At least the original information about how coronavirus is spread, that's a really good idea to make sure you have a 3-foot distance between you and other people, especially sick people. Use hand sanitizer, and do not share. This is mostly for our students that are playing sports. Don't share water bottles, drinks, or mouthpieces, which I hope no one ever shares mouthpieces, but please don't do it now. And then in the building, preventive maintenance that we're taking at our building levels, and this was through Mike Collins and Tim Howland and directions that they've given to their custodians, continuing to increase maintenance efforts, and that means cleaning and sanitizing, especially our common areas. We do already, and we have had it in place for the past year, a biweekly electrostatic application of disinfectant and antimicrobial solution. That was something we instituted around influenza in the past years, and it's a really good opportunity. Most times when you spray, gravity pulls liquids down to the ground and you only cover the surfaces you cover. The electrostatic spray actually clings to surfaces and wraps itself around it. And it is said to prevent up to 90 days. The antimicrobial solution that we're using provides 90 days worth of coverage for that. And again, hand washing in classrooms before lunch and snack. And then finally, we sent parents home. It was a kid-friendly version. It was a comic strip about what the coronavirus is. And it also included in it, if you haven't had the chance to look at it closely, a 3-minute NPR podcast that you can share with your child around the coronavirus. And it had a lot of really good information. Lastly, overnight trips. I'm sure you've heard throughout the week in the news, there's been lots of conversation about it. Actually, this morning, the governor came out and is encouraging all higher ed and high schools to cancel all foreign overnight trips. Actually, the school committee is meeting at the conclusion of this meeting to have a conversation and discussion about that. The Center for Disease Control issues the recommendation that we postpone or cancel trips. So again, this is something that we've been monitoring really closely, and we're really going to keep an eye on and look and have a discussion tonight at school committee about. And then finally, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will be updating this guidance as needed. So I think that's about it. That's really just a quick overview of what we've been doing to date and the steps that we've been taking as a district. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments.
No questions?
Everybody wants to go wash their hands. Yeah. Sure.
I have one question. I know that we typically send, if a student's been absent 5 times, a letter's sent out, and if it's not an excused absence, and that means a doctor's note. How are we changing our how we're addressing that?
Yeah, I think that was in specifically what Mrs. Taylor was going to address in her communication home tomorrow with families is, at this point in time, we're saying we're going to look at it individually, and we don't want that to stop you from staying home if in fact you have flu-like symptoms. So we'll be working with families on an individual basis as circumstances arise. I think your guidance is to contact the assistant principal at your building or your guidance in your building or the school nurse in your building. So I think, we want to know and we want to be able to help, and we certainly, these are extraneous circumstances, and so, we certainly want everyone to be cautious and stay home if they need to stay home. So
Thank you. All right.
All right, thank you.
I think that concludes our meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 1st at 7 o'clock here. And if we have no other business, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Dr. Flaherty. And is seconded?
Second.
Okay, great. Seconded by Ms. Abel. And all of those in favor? That's unanimous. Okay, great. Motion, meeting adjourned.